A quick Hyliion Holdings HYLN update. We're going to go through the stock price, a couple of my thoughts, my current position, how much I've made off the stock thus far, when I got into the stock, and what do I see moving forward for the company. So first off, guys, I want to say I've been in Hyliion for over a year, and I would say August, September of 2023, I started my initial position in Hyliion, and there was a lot of commotion that happened around that time, but I stuck through it. I'm still here today to say I still have long-term shares, and I've also made long-term profit. But also, there's been essentially a 5x in price from the low in Hyliion right before the end of the year in 2023 into the beginning of the year in 2024. So there was a lot that happened, but there was a lot of gains that were made since then. And so first, I want to bring up that from my position, I started. I did initially get in at like 170. Start adding a position because I saw what their book value was. I saw the cash they had on hand, so it was right in line. And how I invest sometimes, if you think a company has like solid bones, and the future has some tail to it and is a little unpredictable, but they have some good forecasts, and okay, you take that. And then they had the trucking at that time, but I was always looking at the Carno as the main driver. Their Carno generator that is fuel agnostic, that can take over 220 different fuels. And so that transpired. I invested. Then at like 170 range up here. Then we dropped down to like the 120 range. Again, so now we're below cash value of what they have on hand in their assets. So now I'm buying even more. At this time, they did not notify anybody yet, but you can start to see the writing on the wall. Electric vehicles and the infrastructure was starting to be a lost cause for many companies in the industry, not just Hyliion with their trucks that they were building, with everybody, Ford, all the big dealers. So at this 120 range, I think people starting to see the writing on the wall. But again, you're below cash value, and so okay, I'm buying because at the end of the day, if this goes belly up, you're making more on your money for what it's worth, right? And so then news comes out that they're going to stop their trucking, right? All the trucks that they were trying, the hydrogen fuels, the hydrogen trucks and whatnot, they stopped that. They cut the division. Was important. It wasn't going to work out. They still have the IP, but they sold a lot of the assets, and they're focused on the Carno. So that was their main business vision. That was their main story from their IPO when they're at like $50. So they cut their main story. So what happened to Hyliion when they cut their main story? Stock goes from 120, it drops down to like 55 cents. Massacre. You can even see that that red bar, volume bar. It was a massacre. I remember the day. I was there. Massacre. But again, my story when I got in it may have been different from somebody that got in it from the IPO or got in it from that. It was never really the technology with the trucks for me. I did the research on it. It sounded kind of cool. The reason why I bought at this level is because I felt like they had enough prospects to at least raise in price, and you see what the chart was doing. Okay, they could go up this way with what they have on hand. But it all kind of went south. So I had to go back and look, well, okay, what is my vision for the company? Can they really do it with the Carno generators? Well, I looked at it, okay. They had enough cash on hand to put them back at like the 150 range. They're trading at 55 cents. The Carno seems kind of cool. It's low, not as capital intensive. It's still capital intensive because you need the 3D printer machines, but not as capital intensive. Quicker to revenue really quickly. But again, It's the assets. I'm like, okay, I'm buying. So I start buying, and I have other older videos on Hyliion where you can see where I bought at, what I had, and whatnot. So I'm buying, buy, all through down here, and I sit. I'm over 1,000 shares at this point. I get my share count down, my dollar cost average, and so later in the year we start to move, I'm still holding back. I haven't sold any shares yet. Boom, boom, boom. We're going up. Boom, boom, boom. And around the 250 range, which was recently, we got up to the 250 range. This was from Wednesday. It ended at like 240. I started selling shares. Right now, I have 700 shares of Hyliion. I had 1,100, so I had 1,100 shares. So I sold about 400 shares thus far. So I'm still heavily invested. My share count, my average price per share is $1, which is nice. But when you look at the bottom of what I made, you can look, see, in long term days, I made $275, 36% up on the year on this investment, all long term. So, with that being said, I'm not paying taxes on that because it's going to be below the amount of, I think, like 40 something $1,000 for me this year, where that's just pure 275, not even worry about no taxes at all. That's great. And all my other shares are still in, and they're all going to be long term soon. So that's awesome. And some people, especially long term bulls, might ask, why do you sell shares? Because there's still a lot more meat on the bone. And again, I'm bullish on Hyliion, but my story of getting in is a little bit different than like a super long term investor's story. Again, I'm still long on Hyliion. I still have a good amount of shares, but it's in a different mindset now. For myself, I don't see myself holding this company for like 10 years per se. And I look at the numbers. The shares outstanding is 173 million. They did a lot of share buybacks, which I loved, and that's part of the reason why they got the price up, because they had to, or they would have gotten listed off the NASDAQ. So they did a lot of share buybacks. The price started to go up. They started defending that $1 mark. So anything under $1 was a discount because they were buying back shares. And I profited off that. But when you look at the shares outstanding, you look at their assets, the cash on hand, the prospects, a lot of great prospects. They have a lot of LOIs. They're still in the process with the Navy. And they actually got, I think, some funding from the Navy too, a couple, like tens of millions of dollars. I have to look into that as well. And so that's why we're trading at a premium. The book value now is 154, right? From the last earnings report in quarter two, from June, they have 280 million in assets minus the liabilities. They don't have a whole lot of liabilities, which is nice. So their total equity is 267 million. So you divide that by the shares outstanding, you get that 154 book value. So we're trading above book value right now. The market cap currently for Hyliion is $416 million at 240. And you have to ask yourself, okay, your equity is 267. We're trading at 416. So we are at a slight premium for Hyliion. And you have to ask yourself, at least I have to ask myself as an investor, does it deserve that? And can it continue if the price continues to go up, if the market cap continues to go up, can it justify that with, revenue coming in, assets, cash, and whatnot? And I asked myself this, Art, you made a good trade. Well, you still made a good trade. All the initial shares I had got at 170 are all in the money. I sold those off for a small minor profit, but I still have all my shares under here, right? So you're up 5x. You survived the cut in business. Half the business gone. You survived that, and you won. take some money, take some off the table, take those long-term gains that you waited for, right? And so I took a little off. And so moving forward, where do I see this? I do see the stock price hitting $3 in 2024. So I do think before the end of the year, it does hit $3, and I will be selling some shares then. $3 Hyliion stock price 2024, 133 English reduction. That's strong enough where I do believe that. We're getting higher lows. We're kind of consolidating in this range at 240, which is nice to see. And you see the resistance I have right here. We have that $3 line resistance sort of right there. Then you have that 367 line, and then you start getting forward 4 and 5. And so I start looking at these resistance lines, and with the shares I have, do I see Hyliion getting over $500 million market cap, $600 million market cap? Will it justify those prices before where it's at right now? Still pre-revenue. We still haven't have legit numbers on the specific, contracts. Yes, the Navy contract is happening. We're getting funding. A lot of great things are happening I'm excited about. But is the company justifying where people want it to go in the next 6 months to the year? And if it's at $3, if it's at 500 million, say after Q3 reports in November, and I don't see anything striking to say, okay, this is $500 million market cap, this is justified, I'm probably going to sell some more shares. And I'm probably going to continue to sell shares all the way up. I might not hold Hyliion for 10 to 15 years. I probably won't hold to if it ever gets back to 50. But I bought shares so low, I still get those type of gains regardless. All right. And I can put it in different companies that I do have my story in, that I do see for myself. So that's the Hyliion update I have. It's kind of a quick one. Oh, and I do want to bring up before at $7 for Hyliion, it's a $1.2 billion market cap. And so that's the goal for all these companies. Can we get to that $1 billion mark? Are we a $1 billion company? That's the next realm. You go from a very small micro cap company, a couple million, then you get to 100 million, then you get to that billion, right? You get that first billion. So for Hyliion to get to that point, from where they had to come from and what they have to do, $7 is $1.2 million market cap. And you have to understand what their product is. How many are they going to have to sell? Is the demand's there, but how much does it cost? How long does it take to make? Are we generating enough production to get the revenue we need to see those type of numbers come up for the market cap, and to really justify a $7 stock price at $1 million, right? So these are a lot of questions I ask myself, and I don't know. Will I have shares to see a $7 Hyliion? Maybe. I might have a couple hundred left. But it's going to be a choppy ride. So I don't think anybody should expect just like a shoot up in price unless a huge buyout comes, or a big partnership comes that just breaks the internet, which is always possible. But I think it's good to have conservative views when investing, and you benefit off the crazy that happens in the positive aspects. So that's what I have on Hyliion. Hopefully this is a good update. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you got some other perspectives outside of your own. Again, I'm bullish long term. I think there's a lot of good things, but I think Hyliion has a lot to work to do to justify higher stock prices, which is why I'm it's on the chopping block for some shares being sold.